Hello and welcome to the Untitled Anarchist Seagull channel. I'm your host, Elise, the Untitled Anarchist Seagull. Hello, Phoenix. Hi, Adam. Good to see you both here. How you all doing? Got some interesting assholes to have a look at tonight. And I was thinking we might start with a short from PragerU called Annabella Rockwell. Not heard of her. Check Annabella Rockwell. Who the hell is that? Oh, she calls herself a free thinker. And yeah, that kind of already tells me everything I need to know. She was deprogrammed from woke college brainwashing, apparently. So yeah, that gives you a flavor of the sort of person we're talking about. Anyway, she entered college happy. She left angry. So, oh hey, Adrien, how you doing? So I thought we might give that one a start. Oh.
There's a peach.
I suppose so. Let me know. Let me just do a sound check, make sure that this audio is sounding good to you.
Patriarchy, I'm oppressed, I'm a victim, and now I have to fight with everyone I know so that they understand they're oppressed too. So I was
Well, like, who's everyone you know?
entirely susceptible to indoctrination, and I didn't even know it. My name is Annabella Rockwell, and this is my story.
God, I mean, hey, Kate Astro, how you doing? Okay. Have you got any Xanderhole vids to recommend, by the way? I mean, if you got recommendations, drop them in the Discord. I don't think Nightbot will let the links through, but I'll check in the Discord. If anyone has, like, seriously, anyone has any kind of ideas for videos for me to check out, then I want to hear about them.
I'm an only child, so I grew up with the world revolving around me.
Could she be any whiter, incidentally? Like, I actually feel like I should put on sunglasses. Load shedding in the sense of a power cut?
My parents divorced when I was very young, so I grew up primarily with my mom, single mom, and my grandmother was very involved. My parents were always cordial, though, so my dad was around, and actually now, fast forward, my parents are back together after like 20 years of being divorced. They live together now.
So nobody else wanted them either.
In Florida, and we're all a little family again. I lived all over, so I'm from New York originally, but I went to middle school in the Bahamas. I lived in Germany for a bit to ice skate competitively, and then my junior year of high school, my family found themselves in Florida. Politics were not really a part of my childhood. I mean,
Well, okay, so what you're saying is you basically had a white ruling class upbringing here, Annabella. That's what I'm getting here. So, and college, I'm guessing, kind of told you about how the rest of the world experiences things, and you didn't like that. That's where I think we're going here.
It was always a conversation, who's the president, more so we had a...
Wow, that's a deep conversation. Okay, she said she didn't do any politics, but listen to that. They had conversations trying to figure out who's the president.
Pride for America. I am actually a descendant of Stephen Hopkins, who came over on the Mayflower.
Oh,
so
fuck off!
There was always a love of country.
Wow, yeah, okay, seriously. Yeah, literally the Mayflower. Yeah, they found themselves in Florida just kind of randomly. Just washed up on the seashore one day.
And a respect, I guess, for our leadership. We had conservative Judeo-Christian values, but...
Okay, so what we've established is also not Jewish, because nobody, like, no self-respecting Jewish person will talk about Judeo-Christian values because the term is anti-Semitic.
It was not necessarily...
Stephen Hopkins. I heard Stephen Hawking as well, and it's like, she totally does not seem, I don't know that he was Yeah, long enough ago to be counted as a, you talk about a descendant, but no, Stephen Hopkins, one of the original pilgrim traders who showed up. Like the story they tell us in school is that it was religious persecution, but actually they'd sorted out the religious persecution thing by moving to the Netherlands. What they were doing in the northeast of what became later the United States after a large amount of invasion and genocide was actually a commercial mission. Yeah, respect for leadership. Yeah, I mean, she does look like the sort of person who has respect for the leader. Oh, no, I totally buy that she's a descendant from the Mayflower because she fits the profile. I mean, like that motherfucker, no, he wasn't Mayflower, he was actually just Declaration of Independence, that guy with the shitty submarine.
Really a political household. I grew up attending
Basically, that's to say that her family's been fucking rich since before this regime existed.
church on Sundays. So I don't know how religious we were, but it was part of the weekly ritual. I went to Mount Holyoke College. It's in Western Massachusetts. It's the oldest women's college in the country. So going into college, I wasn't apolitical. It's not that I didn't care.
Well, yeah, I mean, she had conversations about who's the president.
I was always in student government. Like, I cared about my peers. I cared about...
Oh, she was in student government. Wow, that's such a political post in the U.S. I mean, so she basically helped clean up after prom?
People. I wasn't that invested in who the president was or in, like, policies.
Yeah, because you are part of the fucking class who does okay no matter who the president is, because nobody gets to be president who isn't okay with your class.
Or rights. I sort of always figured I was able to do whatever I wanted and everyone should have access to things.
Yeah, I mean, so what we're getting here is, yeah, she's fucking rich. Rich and white, but though we've kind of already covered that she's rich and she's very rich and very white.
I had the option to pick my courses. That being said, the things that were offered were most definitely ideologically skewed in a certain way. There's this underlying patriarchal bias inherent in absolutely everything.
Wow, it's almost as if we live in a society. See, I mean, she left Barbie world and discovered that actually there's a patriarchy. She's who the Barbie movie is based on.
I felt like it was an awakening of sorts because I was being made aware of this oppressor I never knew I'd had. So now I'm looking at everything like, oh my gosh, you know, there's a patriarchy. I have to fight this. I've been so oppressed. I'm a woman. How did I not know this? My whole upbringing.
Wow, it's like fucking hell. Just look at this face. She's like, I mean, she's been told to smile so many fucking times that she does it even in situations where it has absolutely nothing to do with anything. No, Jesus, like, so yeah, she's. It's not like I didn't care, so in other words, totally indifferent to everyone else in your class. Well, I'm sure that she actually did have very strong opinions on whether you can get good help these days.
And that's like the culture of the college. So, you know, a lot of my friends.
Yeah, I mean, it's what makes Holyoke actually. Everything I hear about Holyoke's pretty fucking good.
Are non-binary. They've shaved their heads. I'm like, that's so cool. Whoa, you're so interesting. Like, you're
yeah. So you met people who are interesting.
So bold. This class that I took my junior year, this gender studies course specifically, is really when my relationships shifted. So I started to believe that there are no differences between men and women.
Well, I mean, what does that even mean? Because that is not, I mean, that is not even what gender studies is about. The point, I mean, this is just lowest common denominator.
There is a patriarchy. I have been lied to my whole life.
Yes.
I'm oppressed. I'm a victim. And now,
well, less so than a whole lot of people, but yeah.
I have to fight with everyone I know so that they understand they're oppressed too.
Actually, most of the people you know, from what you're saying, they're not oppressed. They really are not. They are literally the people in whose interest the entire fucking society, and not just in the US, but the world, is organized. Like, I mean, Mayflower money, she's old money by US standards. I mean, it doesn't take much. I mean, it's not like Britain, where, I mean, old money means your family hasn't had a proper job in it since, like, the Norman conquest. Here, you know, it's old money is like 200 years. That's a lot. I mean, like, they consider an old building old here if it's 50 years old. Yeah, she probably didn't pay all that much attention in class.
It's something to believe in, so I was entirely susceptible to indoctrination, and I didn't even know it. I wasn't as light.
Frowny face. God, I mean, they just have absolutely no respect. No respect for their audience, and I can understand it. I have no respect for their audience either. I mean, anyone who, like, watches this for any other reason than to hate watch it and point out what bullshit it is, I have serious questions about.
And free anymore. Everything I talked about was
Look and see, there are books lurking off in the background that haven't been burnt yet.
heavy. It was a burden. It was about injustice and bias and systemic oppression. I really couldn't take anything lightly. Like, I was so serious all the time. And
yeah, I mean, it's almost like, so you were, like, almost beginning to know what it feels like to be just about anyone else who, say, whose ancestors didn't fucking land on Plymouth Rock? Not necessarily even people whose ancestors had Plymouth Rock land on them, to paraphrase Malcolm X there, but just people who aren't, like, fucking from the old money part of the northeastern US.
we were told to go home during Thanksgiving and fight with our relatives. You know, like, they don't understand, or, like, challenge that racist uncle of yours. Like,
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess you had to probably... See, this was what was difficult for her, because, like, which of the racist uncles? Yeah, okay, fair enough, Adam, that's about right. Oh, no, this has canned music.
put him in his place. And I really started to become that person where I felt like I had to call out my mom on everything. And
See, every time I hear this, because PragerU specializes in this, I mean, they have all sorts of videos where it's like, I was a leftist, I was in a leftist organization. They never say which one. They never say which leftist organization or anything like that. And then I got deprogrammed or something like that. And every time I hear this, I want to, like, get in touch with the people who knew them when they were in this supposed leftist organization. I want to know what her friends at uni have to say about her, because I have a feeling that probably she's a bit less impressive than she sounds like right now.
just be like, Mom, you don't understand. Like, you're a woman, you're oppressed. And fortunately, she would fight me on it because she is conservative. But that...
Wow, there's a shock. Somebody whose money dates back 400 years, is invested in the status quo.
brought us to a point where we didn't speak for a period of time. I completely alienated myself from my family. This
Good.
is right. This is what I'm being told by these career academics who are obviously the smartest people I've ever met in my life. And I felt disconnected from my entire upbringing and from myself.
Yeah, that is something that happens in university if you have a sheltered upbringing. Is that suddenly you are in contact with all sorts of people and all sorts of ideas that you never would have had any... Yeah, I mean, it's funny, she's talking about this like she's susceptible to indoctrination, and probably she is. But the thing is, what happened was, she was very briefly deprogrammed at university. Like, I mean, she was clearly surrounded by this, like, ideologically, ethnically, culturally homogeneous population of just fucking people whose money dates back to before this fucking country, before this state existed. Yeah, and suddenly she was in contact with some kind of other idea. I'm guessing she's got at least a couple of friends or family members who went to Andover, where the Bushes send their kids. Well, I mean, done well, it does done well, it would lead you to question certain ideas about how your family actually is set up. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, how much she actually was at any point invested in any of this is kind of an open question. It's why whenever I hear one of these, I get kind of interested to know, like, the people who knew them from uni. Do they remember them this way, or were they the annoying right-wing student who was like, yeah, but what do you mean slavery's bad? My family made a lot of money off of it.
And from my family. When my mom...
What, you're saying the Group Areas Act was oppressive? Did you see the real estate? You should see the real estate my family got off on the back of that. It was great. I'm guessing, I mean, I know nothing about her. I had to look her up. I mean, but the fucking, the vibe, there's absolutely, the thing about people who present on PragerU and use this sort of biography is it has been airbrushed within an inch of its fucking life. So, yeah, I mean, I can see both possibilities, but I can totally see the possibility that she was just a reactionary the whole fucking time. And, I mean, maybe, in the U.S. there is a lot of talk of, confronting your racist uncle at Thanksgiving and stuff like that. That's kind of a meme, since Thanksgiving itself is actually a fucking racist holiday. The whole basis of it is racist as fuck. It's like, the best equivalent I can think of South African equivalent I can think of is Bloedrivier. The whole big thing that they used to make around that, and that I understand they don't make as much of a big thing about it anymore. That is, the level of racism of, that is lurking behind the myth of Thanksgiving. So it's already a fucked up racist occasion that is actually a national day of mourning for indigenous people in this country. So there is, talk about, confront your racist uncle and stuff like that.
Wouldn't accept, feminism or identifying as a feminist. I kind of felt like she was maybe taking something away from me, because it's like, well, if you're not fighting with me, you're fighting against me. That was never how I was before. It is not worth losing family over a difference of opinions.
Wow, I mean, it's almost like all of this stuff was literally academic to her in the first place. And of course the thing is that losing family in her case means losing a big fucking inheritance. I mean, this sounds like some people, losing family is losing some relationships. But, I mean, from the background that she's saying that she has, yeah, I mean, losing family is basically all of the connections that ensure that you never basically have to ever once in your life say, I'm sorry, I can't come to the pub tonight, my benefit transfer doesn't come until Monday.
I entered college a happy, free, charming 18-year-old, and I left...
If she does say so herself.
...college, a burdened, depressed, anxious, drinking too much 22-year-old who is questioning every single thing about her identity.
Wow, okay, so she was questioning things. Wow, that's terrible. I mean, Holyoke, do you understand the atrocity you've committed? You fucking... took a Mayflower heiress and you made her question her identity.
It was 2020 that I was in Florida. I was in Palm Beach during the lockdowns, and I remember being on social media, so everyone was saying, burn it down, no justice, no peace, riot is your First Amendment. And at first I was kind of like, yeah, like, stand up for what you believe in. But then I really looked at it and I was like,
actually, I have material interests that are directly in conflict with what they believe in. God, look at how look at the facial expression here. Look how fucking self-satisfied she is with all this.
This is a little hypocritical, because I remember seeing the imagery of businesses being burned, and I just
How's that hypocritical?
thought to myself, like, why are we burning businesses in the name of empowerment? Like,
I don't. First of all, like, nobody. Empowerment is a bullshit word. Empowerment is that's just NGO bullshit. Like, show me a single placard during the 2020 uprising over the murders of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and so many others. Show me just one fucking placard that unironically uses the word empowerment. Yeah, I mean, show me one interview with somebody who was taking out the windows of some fucking shitty big box retailer who said that this is empowerment, and they were like,
how is that helping anyone? And it was in that kind of questioning vulnerability, actually, that a PragerU video.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Like, I mean, that's the thing. Florida never did. I mean, Florida was an early adopter of the U.S. policy of pretending there's no pandemic going on and just letting people get, just keep getting fucking sick and getting brain damaged and ruining their immune systems and getting other people sick so that they can keep coming to work until they drop, because that keeps the line going up.
Popped into my newsfeed.
Okay. A PragerU video, anyone, there is, like, literally nobody who I have less respect for. Like, see, that already, okay, either this is a lie, or as, what was it? Oh, hey, Raven. Yeah, Kid, I was just trying to make sure who was saying it. Yeah, Kid Astro, well, the entire country embraces that bullshit now, was saying that she probably never actually believed in the stuff to begin with, because there is literally nothing at all on PragerU that could ever convince somebody who genuinely does not believe that, in this right-wing bullshit already, that they were wrong about it. They're, like, literally, they're never going to change anyone's mind.
You know, PragerU found me. We broke the algorithm somehow.
Yeah, you mean the algorithm that pushes PragerU videos into everybody's feed, whether they have ever shown any interest in right-wing bullshit or not?
And the video was, "Are the Police Racist?" I remember clicking on this video, and the title, it's just a question, it could go either way. I probably thought it was just going to reinforce what I already believed.
No, you fucking didn't.
In systemic oppression. And it was Heather McDonald, and within 40 seconds, everything I thought was dismantled, and then I fell down kind of the...
Nobody has ever had any serious belief, any genuine conviction that they had, except perhaps for the belief in the sophistication of right-wing propaganda, shattered by a fucking 5-minute PragerU video. That's simply, I mean, out of all the things she said, I can believe a lot of what she said. I think actually probably a lot of what she said has at least some, like, hint of fact to it about her biography. But I cannot, for a moment, entertain the idea that somebody who genuinely believes anything other than what PragerU already says walks away from a PragerU video, of all things, and is immediately convinced to the contrary.
5-minute video rabbit hole on learning everything I thought I knew, and finally hearing something different and also something digestible, because I wasn't being screamed at, I was being talked to. So I was able to listen.
Well, I mean, what's true is there was a lot of direct resistance. I mean, there was and liberals have actually done a lot. One of the things that it was done, in fact, to sort of try to break down the sense of empowerment that was coming from the uprising, was that liberals would try to sort of take victories away from the community, take victories away from the people who were out there on the streets. Like, I mean, like the destruction of the 3rd Precinct, which was a fucking community effort. You can, I mean, if you actually look at the video, there was tons of people in there. And it was, you know, that was just destruction of the infrastructure of repression going on. And immediately liberals tried to come make up some bullshit. And, you know, and then, and also in Minneapolis, there were, like, people emptying out big box retailers and distributing all the overpriced shit amongst the community to people who needed it and couldn't afford it.
Frankly, I've spent my adult life outside of college.
Fuck, I've got a dead leg.
Unlearning everything I was taught in school.
Fuck off.
We also have to speak up. If we have a different opinion, we have to...
Yeah, I mean, if there's anything that people... I mean, if there's any group that you never hear from in the U.S., it's old money. Old money needs to speak up. Because, like, how would you ever hear them except everywhere?
Deliver that opinion. Like I always say, we don't have to scream, but we have to discuss. We have to challenge each other. We have to, you know...
Challenge each other. Okay, so when are you gonna, like, challenge PragerU then?
Our difference in opinions, because if the United States becomes a leftist echo chamber, I mean, democracy will be diminished.
There are videos on this very website about how actually democracy, like, explicitly democracy is bad, actually.
These are our core American values. This is what this country was founded on. Like, my family helped found this country.
Yeah, fuck off! That's not something to brag about. That means your family stole a whole bunch of land, murdered a whole bunch of people, and then, like, was rich enough to have actually a seat at the table when this state was founded, when most people didn't even get to know what was being discussed.
Like, we have been here for hundreds of years. We can't let this go. This is the greatest experiment in history, is the United States. And
where's the control group? No, wait a second. I mean, we are the control group. All of us are the control group. She is the experimental group. She is, like, literally the one group of the one segment of the population of the U.S. that has always gotten the absolute full benefit of that the state is supposed to provide. Like, everybody's the control group. Everybody is some degree of being more screwed over than she is.
And,
fucking Mayflower.
You know, we have to keep fighting. It's my responsibility now to say something, to do something about it. Political ideology is not at a person's identity. Like, that is not what a person is at the end of the day. Like, my womanhood doesn't make me a human. It's
what? Her womanhood does not make her human. Well, I mean, what? Like, I would assume that woman is generally taken to be a category of human. Is she saying, what?
It's just an aspect of my humanity. We have the ability to forge our futures in America, and... See, English is really imprecise in this. There are other languages, like Vietnamese, for example, that have two words for we. One is an inclusive we. It means us and you. And the other is an exclusive we, and that means us and not you. See, but I mean, a lot of confusion is created in English because people will say we, like she just did, and she means us and not you. Very much not you. But it is understood as us and you, because of course aren't we all just as well off
as the motherfuckers who were on the Mayflower and then signed the Declaration of Independence and got in on the fucking land theft on the absolute ground floor and have therefore just managed to, just on the fucking property values alone, managed to make a massive killing in every sense of the word.
We can do whatever we want, and we should be celebrated in our differences and not feel like it's a burden. You know, I was so burdened by it before, and...
Burdened by what?
Now, like, I just get to be Annabella.
The Dr. Bob and the Shillman Foundation. The Shillman... You couldn't make that shit up. I did not make that shit up. The foundation that is... that paid for this bullshit is the Shillman Foundation. Ugh, Honsegat. Okay, so... What have we got? Oh, I've got some chuds from Argentina here. Let's see. It's never... Okay, Phoenix was lobbying for a Xanderhole video, and I can understand that. Wow, our timing worked out really nicely on that one. Got through it, and it's only just midnight, my time. So... Oh. Reviewing Vosh's debate with the Nazbol Queen. It's never been more over. This is all Xanderhole. Noah Samson got worse. Let's see. And then we've got this chud from Argentina who's... Oh, well, I've got some new Caleb stuff. I had one vote in there for some Xanderhole, because it has been a little bit since I've done some Xanderhole. But, okay, so... I would have thought he was the Nazbol King. I've got a bunch of interesting... I think we'll do some Xanderhole today, and some Caleb tomorrow. I've got some really... Oh, the Noah Samson one? Okay. Yeah, because Noah Samson did a whole thing on what shitheads, the debate chuds are. Okay, so here we go. This is Xanderhole on how Noah Samson got worse somehow. Even his fucking... I mean... Even his emblem actually looks a bit like a stylized swastika. Which is the sort of thing that, like, if your entire, like, grift is based on the fact that you used to be fash and you aren't anymore, is the kind of thing that you might want to avoid, just from a brand equity standpoint.
Alright, everybody. I'm just gonna start this segment out right off the bat by saying, if you're one of those people that anytime I upload a single segment that has to do with inter-creator drama in this sphere...
Oh, shut up about drama. I hate the word drama.
Particularly if it involves either A, me defending myself, or B, me defending a friend of mine.
Usually against, completely valid accusations of racism, transphobia, or just generally being a chud.
And gets mad about it and is like, oh, hey, you're just a drama channel now.
It's an X from his name, but, I mean, the way that... no, actually, a shooty count does not look quite like that. I mean, I can see where you're going, but the way that the slope is on that, on each of the spokes of that thing, kind of moves in swastika direction. Sort of the thing you'd want to avoid if your whole thing is that you're not a Nazi anymore.
Now, then just leave the video now. Just go. Just
No, I'm not gonna leave the video now, because I'm here to hate watch you.
Just go. Don't deign to hear my arguments, okay?
He's gonna have arguments this time. Holy shit, this is the video. Good choice. Phoenix, good choice. Finally, we've got one where he's gonna have arguments. Yeah, exactly. Their personal beefs are always serious, but then anytime anyone else has an argument with them, it's drama. That's very true.
Just go on with your day, go eat a popsicle, suck a dick, take a shit, and go to bed. I don't care what you do, but just stop leaving those annoying comments on my videos, please.
I would leave an annoying comment on his video right now, except A, it drives engagement, and B, it would drive his fucking hate mobs to me, and they have not found me yet.
They are so goddamn annoying. That said...
But on the other hand, the idea of annoying Xanderhole, I mean, that's kind of based.
We're gonna be covering some drama, okay? I'm very confident that you're all familiar with the YouTuber by the name of Noah Samson. Now, when this guy first started making YouTube videos, I actually kind of liked his stuff. It was, in my opinion, edited well.
I have decided long ago to not talk about symbology. Sounds like the sort of thing a character in a Dan Brown novel might say. Like, he's been contacted to like, figure out some ancient code or something like that, and they find him in the bar with a bottle of fucking JD half empty. He's like, I've decided long ago to not talk about symbology. Oh, very cool.
Enough that it was entertaining and, nice to watch through. It seemed well presented and well researched whenever I watched videos about him dunking on right-wingers, but...
Which you kinda are, is the thing?
But then his Twitter engagement, and I followed him on Twitter at the time, I think we were even mutuals is the term. We followed...
What was that first term he used? Oofy? The fuck is that?
Each other on Twitter, and I noticed his Twitter behavior started to get sussy. Sussy-wussy. It started when the drama between Professor Flowers and Vosh happened.
Oh, you called it, Phoenix. Totally. The drama where he accused it, where, Vosh used white nationalist talking points in order to defend colonialism and sick racist hate mobs on Professor Flowers. That's the drama.
Where Vosh had the controversial take of genociding white people unironically is not good.
And here he said he's just saying it. He's just saying the white genocide bullshit. I mean, and the thing is, what actually happened, because, I mean, maybe there's some people here who don't know, is that he, in that bullshit debate, Bush tried over and fucking over to get Professor Flowers to actually, like, say something that he could interpret as meaning, like, that genocide's actually okay sometimes, or some shit like that. And she did not bite. Not once. And so, instead of just, like, honestly saying, because he was salty because she was explaining black nationalism and black separatism, which are two very different things, and he didn't know what either of them was. She isn't either of those things either, but she actually knows about this stuff, so she was explaining it to him, and he doesn't like it when people, especially people of color, especially women of color, know things that he doesn't know and explain them to him, and so he immediately starts, like, in on trying to get her to say something he could use that way, and when she didn't, he just lied and said she did anyway.
Listen, ironically genociding white people is okay, but unironically doing it, not so much. And Professor Flowers wants to unironically genocide white people.
That is a complete fucking lie. And, I mean, this is just a Nazi talking point. Your whole thing is that you're not a Nazi anymore, Xanderhole. Like, you should stay away from, like, explicit, straight up, just outright, undisputably Nazi talking points.
And that's not very good. So, basically, there was, like, this very big drama, and...
What he means is racist hate mobs that practically kicked her off the internet.
Samson, basically, like... jumped on board with the white genocide good train?
Like, he cannot even begin to... He won't even honestly address that. Because that wasn't what any of this shit was about. He can't even just honestly say... I mean, he could have said something that would have been neutral and say he took Professor Flowers' side. That would be a relatively accurate statement. I think it would be incomplete because it wouldn't say what the actual disagreement was about. But it would at least be an honest thing. And instead, he goes and actually, you know, accuses Noah Samson of saying that white genocide is good. And, like, as if white genocide was an actual thing that was fucking happening. Fuck you, man.
Not saying there is a white genocide happening, by the way. This is all a theoretical proposition that they are in favor of. It's less so...
Well, Kidastro, see, what's happened is a lot of identities are forged by experiences of colonization. That's happened with a lot of groups of people. I mean, it's one of the kind of, like, cultural differences between Jews in Europe who, you know, had to put up with also all the wonderful bullshit that white Christians came up with in order to marginalize us, oppress us, and occasionally just try to get rid of us entirely. And at the same time, you know, racializing the shit out of us, starting around the time that the whole concept of whiteness started to show out. And so that creates a fucking identity, because you know, it's part of how you live for, like, a couple of 100 years, or whatever. And so, like, and similar things have happened with, like, colonized people in a lot of places. Like, I mean, I would imagine it would be unusual for, like, the concept of, like, blackness and, as Phoenix points out, whiteness, are both constructs that really come from imperialism. Like, and they've always been, and whiteness in particular has always been a very opportunistic construct. I mean, yeah, exactly. Well, black exists because, yeah, I mean, because white exists, and also because essentially cultural genocide exists. Because, of course, what happened was, you know, in slavery, people from all sorts of cultures were just completely deprived of, you know, of, like, all their family ties, deprived of, like, their cultural background. I mean, but of course, the, you know, bits of that culture that could be saved persisted, and a new identity forms all around that. But of course, that identity only makes sense in a certain context. Yeah, I mean, actually, the thing about white Latina people is that whiteness has always been present. I mean, white supremacism is as much a thing in Latin America as it is outside, as it is here. Like, if you look at the people who actually, like, own most of these countries in South America, they're a bunch of blonde people with, like, fucking English and German surnames and stuff like that. I mean, it's the whitest motherfuckers you'll see. I mean, you go to the rich neighborhoods in major Latin American cities, and it's like the fucking children of the corn.
So that, like, there's any worry they're going to achieve anything like this, and more so a concern about the fact that they're willing to admit they're in favor of genociding white people in some parts of the world.
He's just gonna totally double... I mean, this is a total lie. If he actually had evidence for this, he would have that clip ready. For as often as he makes this accusation, he would totally have that clip set up. You know, in OBS, if you don't know the program, you can set up all sorts of little video clips that you use a lot. So you could just press a button and that clip shows up. And he could set it up and he could show where she actually said that and where Noah Samson actually said that. But because neither of them ever actually said that, he doesn't have that clip, and so he doesn't show it. And so he just says this shit to his fucking credulous rubes.
But, that aside, essentially, Noah Samson ends up taking a very bad position in this drama, and I call him out. I say Noah Samson is a dumb thing. He didn't like that very much. We got...
Yeah, I mean, it's so weird when people don't congratulate you for insulting them.
Into some prolonged back-and-forth drama. I believe he accused me of being transphobic, and...
Oh, well, because of the transphobic shit you said. I mean, also racist, by the way. More relevant to this. I mean, I didn't know if Noah Samson said it, but I mean, if he didn't, he should have, because, I mean, what he's saying right now is racist as fuck.
Other problematic accusations a few times. And then eventually made a video on me. He made a video on me which was essentially...
He made a video on debate bros in general. One of whom is this dickhead.
A general takedown of me, but he framed as a response in large part to a particular video I'd done. It was a video that has aged very well that I did.
Oh, wonder what? I wonder if I'm going to agree with that. I wonder if you're going to agree with that, chat. Let's find out what video it is.
The video's from about 2.5 years ago, if I estimate correctly now, and it's called Why BreadTube is Dying and the Next Right-Wing Wave is Rising.
Which, I mean, it's so fucking... I mean, this just all reminds me of the sort of bullshit that Thought Slime was calling out in his most recent video. I mean, he was directing that mostly at the Young Turfs, but, I mean, it applies totally to these pricks.
The woke scolds did not like my video.
I mean, he also thought Slime does a great job taking down this bullshit term woke scold. Because, of course, what it actually is, I mean, they're accusing people of scolding, when it, at the same time, is scolding them for not being racist, sexist, transphobic, and imperialist enough.
And did not think my predictions were accurate or valid.
Yeah, because they're based on nothing.
Thoughts? I'll let you guys come up with your own opinions on whether or not my predictions were valid. That said, Noah Samson makes a response. He goes after me with a lot of...
He was going to say something about Thought Slime there, and he stopped himself.
Bad arguments. He makes a hit piece against Vosh, too, I believe.
Well, yeah, because it was one video about debate bros in general, so Vosh, of course, was in there. And, of course, Vosh was the one who was pushing this white genocide bullshit so hard.
He might have made a hit piece against both of us in one video. It's been a while. I genuinely don't put a lot of, like, memory power towards any of this drama or these people, because they mean nothing to me. But...
yeah, they mean nothing to him. That's why he constantly harps on this bullshit. That's why he's still lying on Professor Flowers. What's this now, 2 years? At least a year, since this happened. He could, he could have just allowed this to be kind of forgotten. And the way the internet is, some other abomination would take its place. But instead, he's the one who keeps reminding people that he was one of the people who sent racist hate mobs against Professor Flowers, because she tried to explain the difference between black nationalism and black separatism to Vosh.
Essentially, the video gets responded to, and Noah Samson ends up Noah Samson also, like, sends a hate comment brigade to that video, and I'm still getting hate comments from his fans.
Well, maybe how do you know? See, it's funny, because when other people point out very clearly that, the Vush, Xander whole racist hit mob, that they basically send them all sorts of places and they always go. They act like, oh, we have nothing to do with that. We're shocked that the people we have sent off to harass people go off and harass people. But, people show up to criticize his shitty-ass video on Noah Samson, and they have to be the Noah Samson hate brigade.
On that video to this day, despite the video and its title being proven, like, indisputably accurate and true.
It's not a fair... thank you, Kid Astro. I agree. Thought Slime is really quite good. I would say you're not hearing quite a fair comparison. Because Thought Slime mostly does video essays. I don't do video essays anywhere near as often. So his best lines, he's had time to prepare. When you haven't really heard much of what you get from me when I've had time to prepare and sit down and write down a script and look it over and edit it and say, oh, okay, I can punch this up a little bit. You're hearing me spontaneous, and spontaneous is hard. Spontaneous is challenging. Anyone who can manage to be funny, spontaneous, more than, like, say, 50% of the time with videos they haven't watched before and so they don't know what's coming at all, is really impressive, actually. That's an amazing skill. But you are going to get a chance to see what I sound like when I'm doing what I'm best at, which is writing. And because I'm doing this media literacy propaganda video essay, which is going to be just a mega thing. It's going to be so long. It has been like way more than 2 years in the making at this point. And it's going to be really, really good. I've been shooting for a couple of days this week and doing a reasonably good job of keeping up with post-production stuff, which I'm really bad at. But, I mean, it's going to be good. And then you will have a comparison, a like-with-like comparison. Me with a written script that I've had time to reflect on, compared to Thought Slime with a written script that he's had time to reflect on.
With each passing day, but regardless, I'm not mad. I promise I'm not mad.
Oh, yeah, he's totally not mad. That's why he keeps coming on and raking this bullshit up every time people start to forget about it.
I'm not mad. Regardless, though...
I think he's mad.
Noah Samson ended up going on Vosh's stream to debate about the points in the video, specifically about Vosh. And Noah Samson walked back every point he made in the video.
Which is a statement you can put about as much reliance on as the things he said about Professor Flowers.
Like a goddamn coward. He walked back...
Wait, okay, even assuming that what he says is actually true, so changing your mind about something because you've been presented with sort of new information in the context of a discussion is cowardly. That must be why he never apologizes. That must be why he never admits when he's wrong, which is a lot.
Back pretty much every single point. It was very embarrassing to watch, I imagine if you were a fan of him. And he took the video down after that for about a month and a half, maybe 2 months, because it was just getting so much negative attention after he walked everything back and revealed how much that video was just driven by spite and hate, and it was just a...
Yeah, you know, you can tell that it's true because he's got all these clips showing him saying these things.
It was just a hit piece made to try to do character assassination based on nothing but...
You mean like you just did with Professor Flowers? Don't act precious about character assassination.
Things being made up and assumed and regurgitated for the sake of clout. Well, he ends up putting the video back up 2 months later. No, Samson did.
Well, so it sounds like he did not actually feel that he was walking anything back, and he did not feel at all embarrassed about it. Maybe he put it back up for other reasons. Maybe he took it down for other reasons.
Everyone forgets about it, and there's less, like, traffic going on. He puts the video back up. FD Signifier did the same thing in his debate with Shark. Yeah, it's not uncommon for these types to just kind of make some...
You mean people who have some level of intellectual honesty and care about the positions that they represent, rather than just fighting for clout, even if it... without really giving a shit about what they're actually putting out into the world.
Real strong accusations and claims about people, but then to walk them back when actually confronted in a one-on-one convo, because none of it actually stands up to any scrutiny or...
See, the idea here is that because he does not walk anything back, no matter how ridiculous it is, no matter how clearly libelous it actually is, because, I mean, what he said about Professor Flowers is actionable. It is absolutely 100% actionable, because it's just an outright fucking lie. And he knows it. That is not actually... I mean, because he's watched the fucking video. Anyone who watched the video knows what he said is a lie. But... So, the idea here is that if you make accusations and don't walk them back, that means they must be true. And if you make accusations and do somehow qualify them, perhaps, that means that you were lying all along. So the idea here is that actually intellectual honesty is bad, actually.
For evidence? So,
intellectual honesty is for the weak. That's what he's saying here.
It's not common. Anyway, Keffels has also had a run-in with Noah Samson, and she recently put out a video called The Noah Samson Defect. This is on her Keffels Live channel. And Keffels Live segments are like a mix of live segments like what I do, and pre-recorded, scripted, edited videos.
You mean video essays?
It's very interesting. I like what she does with her content.
Lots of people do that, though. Lots of people do, like, have streams that they clip and then also make video essays. Like, this is a revelation to him.
Pretty unique in this space in regards to format. She made a video that's like an overall takedown.
Yeah,
of
these
everything
types.
Noah Samson did. And I think it's cool. I think it's cool.
Oh, well,
and
then
not
we
just
know it
Noah
sucks.
Samson as well, but the people in that sphere too, like DJ Mule.
Actually, I mean, there's an example of this. So, like, okay, Bill Maher, who's a piece of shit, he is, amongst other things, he's a germ denier. And at one point, some years ago, he actually claimed that Louis Pasteur, on his deathbed, walked back the germ theory of disease. And the thing is, who gives a shit? Even if it were true. No, Newton did, and Galileo did. But, even if it were true that he walked it back, that doesn't mean that the evidence changes. That just means that one guy walked something back. You still have to actually look at the available evidence to see whether it's true.
For example, she gets into DJ Mule in this video, apparently. I'm excited.
DJ Mule being somebody else who has pointed out that Xandra Hole is bad news.
This is basically her doing like another bread or cornbread tube takedown.
No, Pasteur did not do that. It is something that fucking, like, medicine denialists say on the internet. Like, there are actual germ denialists, and Bill Maher is one of them, and he claimed that this was true. It's not true. There's no evidence that it is true. But even if the bare fact were true, it wouldn't change the state of the evidence of germ theory. No, this is bullshit.
Video, and I really like these because she makes them well. She brings the receipts, and I feel like we got to keep ourselves refreshed on like the absolutely disgusting, horrible conduct of the woke scold crowd.
Wait, okay, so when they're objecting to your bullshit, that's drama, but their objections to your bullshit is disgusting conduct.
As of late. Everything from harassing Lindsay Ellis off of the internet to what they've been doing to Keffels. Yeah, this is a lore segment, guys. We're straight up doing a lore segment.
Yeah, and like the term that's like the original usage of that term, lore is something. It does not mean it's true. It just means it's something a lot of people have been saying for a while.
Let's be quick about it, though, because I've got a conversation with Kraut, and I don't want to leave him waiting too late.
Alright, Noah Samson time. So, some backstory on this. A long time ago, Noah Samson was pretty nice to me, because Cornbread Tube, yeah, that entire crowd, they were looking for their token trans person.
Well,
that they found in Jesse Gender.
I don't really think, I mean... What? Yeah, right. So, surely, isn't Soul Bunny trans? Like, why would they need to have... why would a group of black creators need a white trans person as their token trans person? I mean, even just buying this bullshit framing. Adrien, yeah, woke school is some bullshit. As far as I know, the first person to actually popularize that term in far-right circles, the circles that Xanderhol claims he's no longer a part of, and wants your money because to pay him for no longer being a part of. That is, as far as I know, a Ben Shapiro original. I mean, and it is a term that is used to shame people for not being racist, sexist, transphobic, misogynistic, ableist, or imperialist enough.
But this was in the before times, when they thought that I was going to be the Jesse gender of their circle. And
it really was crazy how...
Wow, the before times. So what they're saying... So what you're saying here, Keffels, is that people initially had a favorable presumption towards you, and then it turned out you were kind of shitty? And they changed their minds?
The entire online left for a time was trying to get on Keffel's good side.
And that is not what happened. What happened was there was the whole swatting incident. And because people want to oppose what Fash do, see, Xanderhol, it is actually, for people who actually have fucking principles, opposing what Fash do, it actually goes above whether you necessarily like or dislike the person that Fash have done something to. So, yeah. So people, I'd never heard of Keffels until that shit happened, and then she was on the surfs and everything, and that's how I even knew anything about any of this stuff. And so it wasn't people trying to get on Keffel's good side, she's fucking distributing fucking brownie points or something like that. It was, people found out Fash did something horrible to a trans person, and so, you, opposing what fascists do, specifically when fascists are doing this to, people, or marginalized people, is just sort of a matter of principle that you do, no matter what you think of the person it happened to, because no matter what, fash are bad and need to be opposed. Seriously, this man is so completely incapable of even thinking about... He doesn't understand the concept of actually having principles.
Drop Kiwi Farms movement exploded her to levels of growth at speeds that are, literally...
I did not realize Professor Flowers was trans, actually. But yeah, I mean, why would they need Jessie Gender as the token trans person when they've got... I mean, my understanding was... mostly from fucking white-ass Xanderhol, who... who went through this whole thing about how, he's so completely alien to black culture that he doesn't understand why a bunch of black creators would call themselves Cornbread Tube. And apparently Keffels also doesn't know? Ah, okay, thank you for letting me know. I did not realize that.
Very unusual. The speed at which she grew to the size that she is, and still, to the size she was and still is really crazy.
Well, yeah, because she got swatted and actually got some coverage from larger creators who wanted to draw attention to this fucked up thing that fascists did and to support her in, raising funds so she could try to get away from this shit. And it fucking benefited her viewership numbers. It's the only reason I'd even heard of her.
It's not common to grow that quickly as a content creator. She was around before that, but she really started to go into it full time shortly before the Drop Kiwi Farm stuff, and it just blasted her into the stratosphere. That issue was such a common goal for so many lefty content creators was
well, what you mean is, so the people that you dismiss as woke scolds, because they have fucking principles and oppose what fascists do, that ended up benefiting Keffels because, so maybe, including people that you fucking Xanderhol like to lie about and libel and dismiss their any actual like concerns that they have, any criticisms they have, as like fucking drama, all fucking showed up for Keffels when that happened. Like, I mean, this would be a moment. See, if he actually was at all interested in being honest about all this, where he would have to say this is something where you have to hand it to the woke scolds. Well, I mean, that I mean, as far as I can tell, what happened to her actually did kind of blow the lid off of the. I mean, Kiwi Farms thing. I mean, they really, the hashtag, ban Kiwi Farms or whatever it was, didn't really get going until after that. So I mean, as far as I can tell, she probably does get some credit for really bringing that, bringing that to a head.
Like getting Kiwi Farms dropped like Cloudflare, what's it called?
Drop
Hosting,
Kiwi Farms.
DDoS
That's what it was.
protection? I'm not a big website hosting guy. I don't know the lore, or the technical terminology. I pay people to know that shit.
Oh, fuck off.
Like, everybody had that like one agreeing point, and Keffels was like known for this big thing, right? And so she...
Well, I mean, yes, Kiwi Farms was there all along, and was known particularly amongst trans people as where Nazis went to, like, decide who they, what visible person in the trans community to attack next. But, I mean, in terms of the campaign to get them kicked off Cloudflare and stuff like that, that really only took off after the Keffels thing, because she got so much attention on that, because like basically all the creators that he's slagging off here showed up to say and to like raise funds for her relocation and to say this is fucked up. All the people he's slagging off joined in that effort and really drew visibility to that when she came forward about what was going on. So, I mean, on a certain level, yeah, I mean, I would say, certainly timing-wise,
everybody was trying to get on her good side.
No, that's not... Why? You just said that nobody had ever heard of her. So why would anyone be trying to specifically get on her good side? Maybe it's like... Could it possibly be that the first thing people heard of her is that she was being victimized by fascists, and they're opposed to fascists, so they just, out of just general principle, backed her up? Like, what clout was there to get from just being on Keffels' fucking good side?
And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, not really out of nowhere, we'll get into the lore. Now it's like 95% of the left wants her dead.
Citation kind of needed. But I mean, see, again, this is... this is... People have criticisms of the racist and ableist stuff she said. But he can't say that. I mean, he very much plays by, like, Goebbels' rules. Where you can't hand the enemy anything. Yeah, even you can't acknowledge any decent quality that they have. So the only reason anyone showed up to back her up off of the fucking the swatting thing was they wanted for some reason to get on her good side. And then she said some shitty things because most people hadn't heard of her before that, as you yourself acknowledged, Xanderhole. And then she said some things that sucked, and people said, wow, those things you said sucked, and she doubled down on those things. But he can't say that, because that would mean acknowledging the people on your side have flaws, maybe. And so, instead, he just makes it they want to kill her. God, he is such a dishonest little piece of shit.
Not actually that much of the left, but... If you actually let the loudness of the people that hate her and just the broader sphere of lefty debate bro types If you just if you didn't know better, you'd think that they made
Shut the fuck up with lefty. It was fucking lefty bullshit.
a significant portion of the left, because they are quite loud.
And that's why, if you look in this clip, and this is from the video, The Vosh Effect, I actually get mentioned in it.
Each comment on my video was essentially a copy and paste of his statements with the intent.
Oh, yeah, okay, so he's talking about how Vosh will direct hate mobs and, targeted harassment against his critics.
Intended goal of bullying me into deleting it. It does make me wonder, how much of this is motivated by his fans' genuine beliefs, and how much of it is them just following orders. And while the exact ratio may be tough to find,
That's it. It just says ratio, and he just puts a photo of me. It's just
The reason why she brought this up is because back then the entire...
Well, maybe if you continue watching the rest of what he says, that will become clear what the point of that was. Yeah, this is Noah Sampson. They, Bush and Xanderhole and their little circle hate him because he points out how reactionary fucking, they are. And how they do all sorts of shitty things like directing hate mobs at people. I don't really watch his videos, but I mean, the things that they hate him for are things that are just unambiguously good things about a person.
Entire lefty sphere was like desperately trying to get Senpai Keppel's attention.
Keppel's mentioned. So, I want to talk about...
Senpai Keffels, we've just gone over the fact, and nobody... Was this before... When that video came out, that was before the whole swatting thing, right? I mean, before most people had actually heard of Keffels.
A regular current problem that Noah Sampson has, which is that Noah Sampson is a very angry person who regularly has a problem with threatening people with death threats.
Okay. What? Well, none of this actually says anything about that. Oh, I see. He's okay, he retweeted somebody saying that Vosh needs to shut the fuck up because Vosh said something racist. Okay, so what Vosh says here, if you can, it is pretty small print on OBS. He says, at least now I can effortlessly beat the racism allegations by reminding people, that he's fucked black women. And so Suki's mom, who I've never heard of, says he needs to shut the fuck up in a very hyperbolic sort of a way. And so Keffels right here is doing the turf move of saying that any kind of hyperbolic criticism is a death threat. But I mean, if you hold everybody to that standard, Keffels, because literally what he's saying is he's just being racist. That pisses people off. So, I mean, by that standard, then Vosh and Xanderhole are responsible for a huge number of death threats.
So this is old now. Noah liking a tweet that says that Vosh needs to be put down like a dog.
Oh yeah, for those that don't know, Noah Sampson's like a people...
In response to Vosh saying some racist shit again. Because Vosh is always saying racist shit. Because Vosh is really kind of fucking racist.
Piece of person.
Why didn't you talk about the wonderful high-level ideas that Vosh was expressing in the original tweet, Xanderhole? I mean, you've got it right up on screen here. Why didn't you explain how that's okay?
I was very clear in my videos, my first videos taking down Noah Sampson's comments, that I truly believe he's not a good person.
Yeah, that's really shocking, because every single person that he decides to attack, he can't just have a disagreement with people. They have to be bad people.
So yeah, the fact that he's liking tweets saying that Vosh should be killed.
What did the Vosh tweet say, Xanderhole? It's right up on your screen. Read it to the people. Explain why that's a cool thing to be saying.
Not surprising. And I guarantee he wasn't liking that tweet because he thinks it's a ironic, funny joke.
Oh, you guarantee it. So, like, is there any evidence that he actually is trying to kill anybody anywhere?
These people are genuinely sociopathic, and they
like, this is just wild to me. When I am uncertain about something that I am like 75% certain about, but I can't bring to mind where the evidence is that I saw, I actually get into conniptions about, like, making the claim. Like, there will be people who, it's like, my understanding, I seem to remember them being dodgy, but I don't remember what the deal was. I don't remember what it was that I saw that said they were dodgy. And so I'm very, like, careful about that. And he's just coming here like fucking Tim Pool rules. It does not matter. He'll just tell any fucking lie he wants. He does not give a shit about whether he can back any of this stuff up.
So yeah, the fact that he's liking tweets saying that Vosh should be killed, not surprising. And I guarantee he wasn't liking that tweet because he thinks it's a ironic, funny joke. These people are genuinely sociopathic, and this crowd literally pack-watched, they pack-watched Eden. This crowd of...
What the hell is pack-watching? Chat, can you let me know... What, does anyone know what pack-watching is? I've never heard this term before.
The people were like literally pack-watching Eden because she was part of the problematic crowd in lefty Twitter.
So she said, I don't even know who Eden is, but from what he's saying and the kind of defense he's giving, it sounds like she said something racist.
They will celebrate your death.
This was in response to Soul Bunny, by the way. So Soul Bunny was like, "How could?"
Oh wait, yeah, okay. So he was responding to how Soul Bunny pointed out how racist a lot of these motherfuckers are.
You say I'm racist against white people because I only date white people. And Vosh responds, "At least I know I can effortlessly."
I imagine. See, that's something called a joke. Because, okay, and correct me if I'm wrong, there are people in chat, like Phoenix, who knows Soul Bunny, where Soul Bunny stances on things better than I do. But I'm guessing Soul Bunny does not agree with Vosh and Xanderhole that reverse racism is an actual thing. Like, I'm guessing she was being facetious there.
Beat the racism allegations by reminding people I fucked black women. Responding that is enough to say this guy needs to...
Well, no, yeah, it's called being facetious. People say all sorts of shit. Vosh has said all sorts of shit.
He needs to be taken...
It's like... You have to be purposefully obtuse to pretend like you don't... Like, you can't see through, like, the edginess, I guess you could call it.
You mean, so he's just a reactionary edgelord? Like, so what you're saying is, because he had a video, Xanderhole had a video a while ago, during the early phase of him trying to make money off of the fact that he was a Nazi, where he talked about the whole edgelord thing, and how that's actually kind of not good, and now here he is saying, well, you know... That, you know, yeah, it's yeah, Vosh said some racist shit, but it's just being edgy. Like, so fuck you, man. How does that not get to be also... if that gets to be edgy, then the comment that's being liked also gets to be edgy.
Of this comment, to see the very valid argument being made here.
There isn't a valid argument, it's just racism.
Hey. Reminder... Saying that you've dated or had sex with people of another race is not a sufficient argument against accusations that you're racist against that race. That is the point that he made, though in a crude way.
In a racist way, actually. In a racist way, because, I mean, clearly he was on his bullshit again.
And they're pretending like they can't... Either they are...
He was clearly, I don't know this thread, but I know Vush, and he's a very big believer in the fascist notion that there's such a thing as reverse racism, because there's a right way to do racism, and that's the way Vosh does racism. And the real bad kind of racism, you see, gang, is reverse racism, because that's backwards. You gotta do your racism right side up, like fucking Vosh and Xanderhall do. I mean... And so, yeah, I'm guessing Soul Bunny was taking the piss out of that whole bullshit idea.
They're too stupid to, or they are so dishonest and spite-fueled, they are pretending not to be able to glean the message behind that comment.
Oh, well, no, they got the message. We got the message. The message is really clear. You, despite your best efforts to try to find a way that what he said there is okay, it's kind of obvious, like, to anyone who isn't just terminally fucking indoctrinated into this sort of reactionary echo chamber that you have here, Xanderhole.
And they're pretending to just see bigotry, I guess?
You can just call it racism. He was being racist. You see, that was what it is. They see racism because he was being racist.
It's so bizarre.
Yeah, I mean, they're just actually, they're reacting to the thing he did. Don't they know that when Vosh does the things he does, you're not allowed to react to them as if they actually happened? Don't you know that you're supposed to give him a pass on literally everything? Like, it's bizarre. Why would people be acting, like, all pissed off just because Vosh said something racist? It's Vosh! Of course he's gonna say some racist shit.
Like, I feel like it really has to be a mix of sincere people with, like, absolutely no base...
Yeah, well, in this case, I mean, Vosh is racist as fuck. This is, this is just a very clear case of him being racist. And the context is that he was being criticized by a black creator by the name of Soul Bunny for being as racist as he is regularly. I mean, like, not just, like, sort of casual liberal racism either, but, like, actually sort of, like, fucking fash-level racist, where he was adopting bullshit like white genocide and talking about it like it was a real thing and pretending reverse racism is an actual thing and stuff like that. I mean, so it is not throwing it around when it comes to Vosh, or when it's coming to Xanderhall. They both just they just do racism, and then they act like all put out with when somebody reacts to it and points out that's kind of fucked up.
Basic social skills and social intelligence.
Yeah, see, he's just being ironically racist. Like, tell me one more motherfucking time. I want to hear how, Xanderhall and Vosh are doing this wonderful job de-radicalizing the right when they're just validating one fucking reactionary talking point after another. Like, I mean, they are literally making it harder to argue against these things because they have this undeserved reputation as being lefties, whatever the fuck that is. They are literally making the work of anti-racism harder because they provide this space where, white people who want, free healthcare can go, and all their racism is totally validated, where nobody's going to challenge them on any of that shit. And where they can get the idea that anyone who criticizes them for being racist or tries to tell them that they need to work on that shit is the bad guy. I mean, this idea, like, these motherfuckers get so much credit for this idea that they're supposedly de-radicalizing the right. I don't see it. They're de-radicalizing the left. They are diverting people who are moving left, and moving at least in a sort of progressive direction away from that by saying, actually, you don't need to actually question anything else about the system except the stuff that actually is personally harmful to you.
And people who've
Oh,
been,
ableist as fuck.
lied to via rumors and misinfo.
You mean like when you repeatedly accused Professor Flowers of supporting genocide earlier on in this very fucking video?
And just never looked into it because why would they? And people who are just actively spreading said misinfo.
You see, what's wild about this is here we have the racism right on screen. It's been on screen for like several minutes now. Long enough that he's felt the need to address it and try to find a way that it's actually okay. Which, of course, he did. Because it's Vosh. And he lives in Vosh's asshole. He is a little dingleberry that Vosh carries around in his asshole. That's his entire existence. So, of course, he was going to find a way that it's okay for Vosh to be racist. But, you know, so the receipts are right here on the fucking screen. On the other hand, he makes all these wild-ass bullshit accusations against Professor Flowers, doesn't once offer any receipts, just kind of says, yeah, there are receipts that exist on the internet, trust me, bro, and all this shit. It's just wild. Xander Holt would be easy to make cry, I think. He just seems like a absolute little schmuck.
This tweet is literally saying Vosh should die. How did
I don't think he could actually handle even being in a room or being just one-on-one with somebody who is actually not going to let him, let him get away with his bullshit. If he can't control the microphone, he will absolutely just run away crying.
Did this get approved of? And Zan got kicked off for saying KYS to a pedo? Well, to be fair, this was prior to Elon buying Twitter.
Into the back of the shed. This is literally Soul Bunny's position. The issue that came up recently. So Noah Samson tweeted this, 3 Chud Logic videos, and said, pedo freak streamers like this one should be rounded up and melted.
I've heard about Eden, but who the fuck was celebrating her dying? Specifically Jai, but also Jai's, like, general orbiting sphere.
I've never heard of any of these people, so I didn't know what the deal there is.
Sphere of followers, and Jai is used to be known as Kunta J. You might know them for a lot of drama they got involved with back then.
Okay, so now we're slagging off Noah Samson for saying that Nazis who advocate fucking sexual assault ought to have bad things happen to them. Like, this is, so, like, Xander Holt will not run to the defense of black people when they're facing racism, but when a fascist YouTuber who also is a fucking sex pest gets something bad said about him on Twitter, he is right there. He's the white knight right there for the job. Die fucking out. Die fucking out.
Or that name on Twitter. A lot of demonic shit, including sending death threats to me.
Receipts, please. Like, I mean, these would be on the internet, so surely you've got some screenshots of these supposed death threats? That definitely really exist in the real world.
Yeah, and basically, that, like, Jai is in the sphere of Cornbread Tube, like, friends with all those people, Oomphies on Twitter, or mutuals on Twitter, or whatever. So yeah, it's just like, this sphere is very interconnected.
Okay, well, that's where we're gonna have to leave it for tonight. Jesus Christ, you've reminded me of just what a piece of shit Xander Holt is. Oh, Xander, yeah, I mean, there's a little Zen in a lot of the worst people that anyone knows. But I've gotta leave it. It's about to be 1 o'clock in the morning, and that is when I turn back into a seagull. But I will be back tomorrow at 11:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, and I look forward to seeing you then. Because, first of all, Phoenix likes Xander Holt, and Phoenix is one of my most loyal chatters. Phoenix has been with me for a very long time here, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. I love how all these people have like decided to make this like a regular thing and keep me company while I'm looking at all this bullshit. And the other reason is that these motherfuckers like Xander Holt and Vush, they are dangerous as fuck. In fact, I would say they're more dangerous than they would be if they were outright fash. If they actually organized openly with fash. Precisely because they have this sort of fake left cred that allows them to sort of mainstream, much on the same way that Caleb Muppet does, mainstream reactionary shit into left spaces. And they're toxic fucks, and they need to be talked about, as far as I'm concerned. And plus, it's occasionally, it's very easy to make fun of them as well. So that's entertaining too. But anyway, I'll be back tomorrow. Have a very good night, and see you later.